Did it give the message?
Sorry?
Did you heard Craig talking?
No.
No, he didn't said now recording. Oh yeah, because he's mute. Yeah. So recording channel. No, he's recording. Okay. So yeah. Uh, yes. So obviously the first question is like, you know, what's the difference between a physician and a physicist?
Yeah. Yes, no. I'm a physicist, not a physician. A physicist is someone who studies things like uh, the way the world works in terms of mechanics, how particles move. Um, well, it's a very broad science. So I think it's best to explain physics by comparing it to other sciences. So biology is all to do with the science of living things, humans, animals, ecosystems. Chemistry is then to do with um, substances, science of kind of substances, chemicals, and also to do with atomic structure. And then physics is kind of everything else. You can have climate physics, you can have cosmology, looking at space and the universe, fundamental particle physics, which is looking at the building blocks of everything. Um, a physician is basically a medical doctor. So
Mhm. Yeah,
that's the difference.
can a physician save a life?
Oh yeah, oh certainly.
Can a
Physician can.
can a physicist save a life?
Um, less directly, but physicists are responsible for a lot of physics goes into modern medicine. So things like MRI scanners, CAT scans, PET scans, all these things, radiotherapy. A lot of that is came out of physics. So physics can help with medicine, certainly indirectly. But if you were to ask me if I needed CPR on the street, would I rather see a physician or a physicist? I'd say a physician.
A physician. So basically, what you're telling us is that your job is useless.
Well, my job in particular is useless. Yes,
Yeah.
I take a kind of perverse pride in that. I've always wanted to. I I enjoy what I study when it's totally useless.
Yeah. And so far, how good of a student are you in Oxford?
How good is she? Well, when you get so everyone who comes to Oxford is the top of or used to be the top of their school. So I was an overachiever at school. I was a very good student, very intelligent. But then you come to Oxford and everyone's the top of their school and everyone's intelligent here. So when you get here, you've got to stop kind of comparing yourself to other people because everyone's good, and if you can find dozens of people if you want to who are going to be who are better than you in some ways or smarter than you in some ways. So I mean, my degree is first class. So if you're ranking me based on exams, I'm in the upper segment of students at Oxford.
Yeah.
But
How many people are in the upper thing? Like basically, from 110, of them
okay,
are.
so there are about 200 students I think studying physics at Oxford.
Jesus, like it's actually in your class?
Oh no, so we're split up among colleges. And a lot of what goes on is college based, and so there are only five other physicists at my college. So we have classes where it's just the six of us.
five, six, actually six people.
Yeah.
You're well,
Whereas
six
the whole
people.
department is much larger.
Like, is it like one of those classrooms that I have in my mind? That's like like an amphitheater. Like just
Uh,
build up.
okay. There are two things you can have. We have lectures, which are kind of in like the amphitheater that you're imagining, and that's where everyone goes. So the whole 200 strong, or the 200 physicists Oxford, studying physics at Oxford in that year will go to the lecture theatre. But we also have teaching called tutorials in college, where it's just a group of six of us and one tutor, and it's much more kind of personal tutoring at that point.
So like in a small room, you
Yeah,
know, behind chairs and desks.
yeah. One of the professors who tutored me, the tutorials were held in his room. He had a blackboard along one wall. Um, he had a sofa for a couple of us. One of us was on a chair, and he also had a table in the room. It was basically his room or his office.
Mm.
And so it's
Do
fairly
you?
fairly
Yeah.
small room, but
Yeah.
enough to for a few students to sit down and
Yeah.
enough room for a
Now,
blackboard.
yeah. What do you think about like the founders of Google not finishing college, and Bill Gates not finishing college, Mark Zuckerberg not finishing college?
Oh, you can, especially in this age, it's much easier to do. Um, you can, and there's different kinds of intelligence. So there's the intelligence that kind of um, makes you good at exams and good at that and that kind of thing. And there's intelligence that you can start businesses and all this sort of thing. And you can certainly have one without the other. I think Richard Branson is one of the most famous examples. So yeah, no. What do I think of them? They're very intelligent people, and but it's a different kind of intelligence.
Do you think like actually business is more important, or what you're studying there?
Um, well, in the in the immediate future, business is more important. But the thing of what theoretical physics is, it's it's the forefront of our knowledge. Theoretical physics is right at the boundaries of what we know and don't know. And at that boundary, who knows what you're going to find? You could find you could find a solution to the energy crisis. So one of the things that theoretical physicists often go into is nuclear fusion, which is clean energy, which would be an amazing source of clean energy. It would solve our energy crisis completely if we managed to get that going. So
Mm. You're
things.
talking about you're talking about Tesla cars.
Oh no, no, no. No, not at all. It's so. Well, there's a kind of power that we have at the moment called nuclear fission, which basically extracts energy from nuclei by splitting them up, and this produces a lot of energy, and it's a good way it's a good way of getting energy, but the you get a lot of radioactive waste at the end of um, using a power plant like this. Nuclear fusion, on the other hand, is energy. We extract energy from processes that combine nuclei together. So it's the reverse of nuclear fission, really. This energy, this kind of power produces a lot of power. The ingredient for this is you can get from water. Um,
Uh-huh.
so there's
Yeah, you can
it's a very
actually
it's a
make,
very it's a very clean energy source. It's a
yeah,
very powerful energy source.
no nuclear energy with actual water, huh?
Sorry.
You want to make nuclear energy of water? No, because I used to think it's uranium
Yes.
that.
So yeah, nuclear fission works with uranium. which uranium is a huge nuclei that you split up. You collide them together and you split the nuclei, and that gives you energy. On the other hand, nuclear fusion is combining very, very tiny nuclei, such as hydrogen nuclei, which are only, say, one proton, one neutron in size. And you smash them together and combine them, and that's what releases the energy for the smaller nuclei.
So you're saying one of them is combination, another one is like,
It's breaking up. Yeah, one's
breaking
combination,
up.
one's breaking up.
Why won't you guys try to break up hydrogen as well?
Well,
Um,
you can't break up hydrogen. Well, hydrogen is made of um, smaller things, but you can't really break apart hydrogen. It's
so
so imagine like Lego bricks. Let's imagine Lego bricks at the moment. So hydrogen is one Lego brick. That's its size. A uranium atom is made up of something like 238 Lego bricks. So you can break apart uranium loads, but you can't break apart hydrogen. Hydrogen's the kind of basic. It's the smallest. It's the smallest atom.
and basically, like when you guys actually, break apart uranium, they release amazing. Is it uranium the only atom?
No,
The,
there's a few others. I think you can use plutonium. Um, there's a few others, but you want really big, um, heavy atoms.
so uranium is like the biggest one of them. That's what you're saying?
Uh, it's slightly more complicated than that. Uranium is one of the biggest. Um, but if you started trying to use nuclei bigger than uranium, they're very unstable and kind of they break apart by themselves before you can do anything with them really.
But if they,
Uranium is one of the largest stable atoms you can get.
but if larger atoms break apart, then how, how somebody even finds that atom? Like, do they break apart by themselves by a process? What I mean, like, what is larger than uranium?
Well, let me get a periodic table up. Um, let's have a look. So uranium, uranium. I can't actually see it on here. Well, anyway.
So
Sorry, what was
yeah,
the question? So, what is larger than
yeah,
uranium?
yeah, what atom actually larger than uranium?
I mean, they all have ridiculous names after this point. I think that one's here, Moscovium. Moscovium will be bigger. I presume that's named
I,
after. I presume it was discovered in Moscow. I'm
yeah,
not sure.
like it perfectly fits the nuclear program of Russia.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. Uranium has 92 protons in it. Um,
90.
and you can get stable up to about 103 protons. So
Yeah,
that one's called
that,
lawrencium.
yeah. You said Moscovium was made. The name is related to Moscow. What do you think?
Presumably,
Yeah, presumably. What do you think uranium is somehow? The name came from?
I'm not sure to be honest. I, there are some that you can definitely have a good guess at their names. So like
I guess.
europium,
Yeah,
americium is probably America, californium.
yeah. I think I actually think like Americans actually realize that they can urinate over other people with this atom. They were like uranium after they had the nuclear explosion in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they actually, well, let's name it here.
that would be pretty
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, yeah. And okay, so this is chemistry. Why do physicians actually, learn about this stuff?
Well, so nuclear fusion is very much a physics kind of thing. So the key problems in nuclear fusion is you have this kind of donut shaped reactor, and what you're doing is um, you have this really magnetic, hugely high temperature, dense plasma
Mm.
inside this donut, and that's what you use to carry out the fusion. And to be able to understand how plasma works, how this plasma behaves, how to get it to behave, how to build the machine, this is all physics. The chemistry of what kind of atom you use is a very small part of it. Um, but I mean, physics and chemistry aren't mutually exclusive. There's plenty of overlap when you get to things like um, nuclear processes and so on.
Oh, in the end, what is your actual goal? Aren't you going to like work in a cooperation, like no, like a cooperation for like what was that? Elon Musk, a SpaceX, yeah. Now, aren't you actually going to like work in one of those corporations? For
Well, I'm sure
mm,
there are certainly people who would go and work in corporations like that. Me, on the other hand, I'd like to live the academic life. So from now, I should hopefully be doing a PhD at the start of next year at a university, and then hopefully beyond that, I'll be lecturing, teaching,
mhm.
and researching.
Like when musicians, they end up homeless, they go on the street and they perform, on the street. What happens to like people in your, like educated people? What do they do?
You can't find a job. Well, I think what happens at that if you start struggling to find a job in academia, there's a lot of money in tutoring. So private tuition. Everyone's looking for tutors in maths and physics and sciences. So a lot of people kind of do that as a backup. I,
Oh,
I, I,
well,
I very much hope that I'll never have to be performing on the street because I would not be very good at that.
has there ever been like a actual college professor, teaching on a street to other people about physics?
Uh, I don't think so.
Yeah, that would be neat, like if you actually see that one
Well,
day,
I mean, they don't do it on the street, but there are universities hold public lectures all the time, which are open to the public to come and listen to,
Mm.
but not on
Yeah,
the
like,
street.
do you do you think like it's fair for physicians to get a job and musicians sometimes go homeless on the street? Which one do you think is like more important? Like
Oh
music
God.
or you know academia?
Uh, well, cool. That was a tough question.
Like I've got
Well,
scales, like this is 77. It's like we want to top CBS. We want to challenge.
I mean, both are important, and of course, there are jobs and funding for both of them. But I mean, which is more important? I mean, I've got to go with physics and science. To be honest, it's
Physics and science.
physics and
Yeah.
science. It gives us technology and advances, improved living conditions, improved efficiency. Um, I mean, most of the technology that you're surrounded by today was an invention of physics at some point.
Uh-huh.
The things that the computers are made out of. Most of them were physics advances, and then computer science did the rest. Um, but at the very start of it, it was physics.
At the very start of it. Well, like
And there's still plenty of physics that goes into
yeah. Then why do you think some musicians are like international icons and scientists are not?
well, music is something that um, you don't need you don't need to have studied for so many years to appreciate music. You can hear a song, and immediately it can speak to you. Um, if I wrote down some equations right now, they speak a lot to me, um, but they probably wouldn't mean much to you unless I gave you a 2-year course in theoretical physics. Um, so people can connect with music straight away. Um, Music seems to be something that everyone enjoys in some capacity. Um, so yeah, people are. I think it's people look to people who make music they like and they're icons. Whereas for physics, um, physicists produce papers, um, which the only the only people who are going to read these papers are other physicists. Um, the best a physicist can do for popularity is appearing on TV science shows or writing a popular science book, which you can elevate you to a certain level of fame, such as Stephen Hawking, Brian Greene in America, um, physicists like
Bill
this.
Nye, yeah, Bill
Yeah,
Nye,
yeah.
this.
So it is possible, but the way that physicists would uh, enter the public eye is by um, purposefully writing things for the general public. Whereas a musician, everything they do is in a way for the public, because what's the point of making music if nobody listens to it? Versus, on the
Mm.
other hand, the papers we write are just they're the only people we intend them to be read by are other physicists, not the general population. If we want the general population to read something that we've written, we write a popular science book or appear on TV shows or radio shows, things like that. So it's a physicist has to put in effort to be known. A musician, you're a good musician if you are known. Well, I mean that's if you're known, then you're probably a good musician. Whereas, it's definitely possible to be a good musician and not known if you're unlucky.
Uh, you take Stephen Hawking as your, like role model?
Um, in a way, um, so Stephen Hawking, I saw a lot of him on television. I never actually read. I've never read a book written by him though. Actually, um, the books I read were by um, physicists probably you haven't heard of. Um, I don't know. Michio Kaku's fairly famous in America, but I'm not sure if you would know his name. So
Oh,
I read
I'm sorry. Who?
Michio Kaku.
Mitch. Can you actually spell the spell? M I
Michiaku.
C H Michel Cahoon.
Michou. No, sorry,
M
OI.
M
Michio.
M M I.
Oh, I've really screwed this up. let me type it on the voice chat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There you go. Made a hash of that. That's his name. Um, so I read a lot.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you do know
Michio
of him?
Yeah, like that Japanese guy.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah. Japanese American.
yeah, like he with his kung fu that he just like
I've never seen him do kung fu. I read his books. So the thing I was inspired by really was reading books by people like him. There are a few other authors I could mention. Um, Stephen Hawking on television was definitely one that I also came across. Also very inspiring.
Did you know that after Stephen Hawking's died, they auctioned his wheelchair for like $200?
Was it only 200? I would have had a feeling it was more.
Yeah, actually, somebody bought, somebody bought it 250. Like the auction started 200. Somebody bought it $250, and they actually, dude, don't Google this. I'll make this.
I'm sure it would have sold for something in the thousands or more.
Dude, no, nobody sells the actual.
Well, yeah, I mean, Stephen Hawking is one of the examples of where physicists can become icons. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Like,
I mean, and
don't you
there
think
are a
that
few.
there were like so much sympathy because he was on a wheelchair? Do you think if he could actually walk? I think there were a lot of people, had sympathy with him. Like because he was like on a wheelchair actually, and they were like
Uh,
thinking to
yeah, it
themselves,
just
it's like so poor. It's not like they actually knew about physics. They cared. They were like the guy on the wheelchair. They wanted to be like
mm.
actually nice to him. Don't you
Well,
think?
there's certainly it's right to have sympathy, but I think the main thing that I think you should have, and that certainly I have, is just admiration for it. I mean, it's just incredible that
Yeah, well,
despite
I want
without
to
even
ask,
not
yeah,
even being able to talk, he could do all
yeah,
that.
an actual question. Where do you see science and where do you see religion?
So I see. So science has been going on now for science proper has been going on since for about 2,000, 3,000 years now. Um, it's a lot of time in its history. Um, it was very intertwined with religion, and I think in the past that was probably correct. I think in the past, with the little knowledge that we had about the universe, um, I think it was much more sensible to to hypothesize that there was a god. Um, I mean, back in those times, most people thought the universe was very small, that the Earth was at the center of the universe. Um, and if you have beliefs like this, then it kind of makes if your science is telling you that the Earth is the center of the universe, um, then it starts to make sense to then go to religion and say, okay, this is very um, this agrees very well with my science. The science helps back up my religion here. If the Earth is the center of everything and we're on it, and religion is also saying that um, this universe is essentially about God judging us and seeing what we do. Um, but now I feel like we've got to a point in science where it's very clear that we're not the center of the universe in any way, shape, or form. There's no there is no center of the universe in any sense. Space is relative. We're not at the center of our solar system. We're not at the center of our galaxy. We're not at the center of our cluster of galaxies. There's we're just we're on a planet that's
I'm sorry, we are not in a center of the cluster of
oh
galaxy.
so so you have galaxies, and then if you zoom out even further, you've got collections of galaxies called clusters.
Yeah,
Um,
galaxy clusters. Yeah, and when you zoom in smaller, you from a galaxy you end up with a star cluster. You know, like
when you zoom in, oh yeah, you end up with clusters of stars, and each one has their own kind of um,
that was
planets
the
or
name of it
whatever
was
else.
actually galaxy cluster. So,
Yeah, they're called galaxy clusters, superclusters, things like that.
yeah, galaxy cluster. So the smaller one of the galaxy is super cluster, and the bigger one of the galaxy is galaxy cluster. So,
But
uh,
I believe it. I believe you. If about scales, it planet, star, um, solar system,
well,
uh,
star is a solar
clusters of stars.
system.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
the star is its own thing. It has a solar system around it.
I'm sorry, what?
The star is
Uh,
its, is its own object. Then it has a solar system around it.
Oh yeah.
So the
So
solar system is a bigger system than just the star.
oh yeah. So planet, a sun, a solar system,
Yeah, and then
then
clusters of stars, then
clusters of stars.
then
Yes.
a galaxy, um,
Galaxy.
clusters of galaxies, and then superclusters
Plus
of galaxies,
clusters of galaxy and
and then
super.
would be even bigger. Hence the name.
Oh yeah, would be even bigger than that. So far we've got the super clusters are like the biggest one. They are the largest known.
Well,
You know, like
then the biggest structure we know of is the observable universe,
yeah,
which is almost certainly not the entire universe, but that's the largest thing that we can see is the observable universe.
yeah. So they are the largest known gravitationally bound structures in the universe, galaxy clusters.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and
essentially.
and were yeah and were believed to be the largest known structures in the universe until the 1980s when superclusters were discovered. I have a question. You wrote an article about intelligent life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so far, there was a scientist who tried to actually come up with a mathematical equation of
Yes,
whoa,
the Drake equation.
yeah, the Drake, the
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, he's a good scientist. I like his songs, but apparently, his affair with Rihanna apparently, is like a really good singer and scientist. So yeah, the Drake equation, you know, he said there could be almost around 10,000 intelligent life, in our galaxy. But so far, when the scientists actually looked at, what do you think they saw?
Oh, I
Uh, you
haven't found
know,
anything yet.
they haven't found how many planets so far they have.
Oh, I mean,
This,
we found plenty of planets, and even habitable ones, um, or potentially habitable ones. But no, we haven't found any signs of other life outside
yeah,
of the Earth.
basically, how much of the planets in our galaxy, scientists actually discovered so far. Like
Oh, a tiny
mm,
proportion.
a tiny proportion.
Oh, absolutely tiny. Yeah. There are
Like
going to be there will be billions and trillions of planets in the galaxy. I don't know how many we found. I doubt it goes much past tens of thousands.
oh, so far, we confirmed that there's only like among like tens of thousands of planets. One of
Well,
them.
planets are very difficult to detect. You have to look at a star. How they actually do it is they look at a star and they take readings from how bright the star is, and you can work out if there are planets orbiting that star by seeing if there are dips in the sun's brightness, um, corresponding to planets. When the planet's moving in front of the star, it blocks out some of the light, and you can tell if there's a planet going around the star by looking at these light curves.
Mhm. So far, among the 10,000 planets that we have found, only one of them kind of looked that it could be habitable.
There are a few. There are certainly a few other candidates that appear
Yeah.
habitable. Um,
Uh,
but
are yeah.
it's generally extremely difficult to find to analyze a planet from so far away because you essentially can't see it. What you're actually looking at, I think the way they look at data for planets, I think, is that when the planet moves in front of the star, you can tell what elements the atmosphere is made out of by the light that's passing through the atmosphere of the planet and reaching us. And that's a very tiny amount of light that actually does that, and it's very difficult to detect. So
Uh,
there are probably plenty of planets out there that are habitable, but it's very difficult for us to, to, to detect them.
so in my opinion, yeah, there could be like intelligent. I mean, there definitely is a intelligent life out there. You know,
I, I,
what if? Yeah, what
I
if
think there is.
a hypothetical question? What if we found? Like obviously, I think that aliens have contacted us. What if we found aliens and they said that they believe in the same God that a lot of us actually believe?
Um, I mean, that would be interesting, but I would wonder how that would be consistent because the gods that we have, or the gods that are within our culture, mention nothing about extra life or other intelligent life in the universe. Um, so if an alien race came across and had exactly the same, I would wonder what would count as exactly the same god.
What do you
How would
think
you
about,
compare?
what do you think like about the concept of angels and demons?
I don't think they exist.
What if they were actually aliens that we consider them as to be like angels and
um,
demons?
well, I mean, I feel like it seems like a waste of time for an alien civilization. To be honest, if you can, any alien civilization would be able to with the capability of reaching us, um, would have such superior technology. I mean, I don't know why they'd be why they would bother messing around with us.
Well,
It seems silly. They must
uh,
have so many other things on their agenda.
yeah, don't you think like they actually, some of them for common sense, just as humans help the poor humans, they want to like intelligent life wants to help, not very intelligent life. Don't you think
I mean,
that's a good?
it's possible that that kind of elevation is happening or has happened. I mean, as I was saying, a civilization that could traverse um, the distance of space and get to our planet would have incredible technology. They could probably move around on the Earth without being detected. Um, if they didn't want to appear to us, they could easily not.
Do you think like they can s- pimp slap humans without them understanding what happened? Like they have
I
the
presume
technology,
if if they were that technologically advanced, I'm sure they could. But
what if one of them? What if
the
one of
question
them
we have to
actually,
ask is why.
yeah,
Why would they bother? What's the point of it?
the humans have a sense of humor. Don't you think like there would be a group of prankster aliens, that they actually, what about this? Like, what about, let's just say that, you know, struggle is very good for evolution. Obviously, the
Mm.
more struggle, the more evolution. And angels know about this. They know that, like the aliens know about this. They know the more, just as they went through their evolutionary process, they want us to go through the same thing until we, reach our, space stage, our age that our stage that we become united together, and we maybe it's like it uh, makes us evolve way faster, for us to understand life for ourselves.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. It's definitely a possibility. There's no way of ruling it out. But
What if
it
one of
just
the, yeah, angels, became invisible and went behind the back of President Trump and shook that wig off of his. But don't you think like that would be like so funny?
Mm.
Like where Trump was actually giving like a speech in Oval Office, and one alien just walked in. He was about to talk about going to war with like Iran or Syria, like and just alien just walks behind his back and just grabs out that wig. That changed the course. One prank changes the course of mankind history.
Well,
So
yeah,
yeah, well,
that's the point. I mean, if think about it from our perspective, um, think about how we treat tribes in tribes on some of the islands in kind of like Indonesia, that kind of area. So there are tribes still living. There are humans living in tribes on islands in that part
that
of the world
yeah,
that have
that
not been
prac-
introduced to technology. We have not
yeah,
introduced them into society. All we've been doing is kind of non-invasively
cannibalism.
observing them from afar. Um,
Yeah.
and so this is that's the best kind of data that we have um, for how an alien civilization might treat us. Kind of, it would stay back from us if we weren't very technologically evolved.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But the tribes know we're there very clearly. They can see our helicopters when if you fly over. They know we're there. Um, but so I feel like if there was an alien civilization out there, we would probably know that they were there, but not understand anything about them. So
Yeah, like that makes sense in a very nonsense way. Yeah.
whereas at the moment there's absolutely nothing that looks like
What about the, like what about the signs? Have you watched the movie Signs?
no.
No, Mel Gibson. No.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Like do you know like this crop thing that
Oh, crops.
yeah, crops.
Yeah,
Aliens
well,
come to, gather their corns from this planet since we have delicious, corns.
it seems absolutely ludicrous. They would have the technology to make whatever food they wanted. They'd have the technology. They probably have the technology not to even need food.
Yeah, yeah, well,
It's absolute. It's
yeah,
they don't need our
no,
wheat.
like, yeah, yeah, the corn thing, it's a joke, but you saw the actual, like signs, you know, the signs are real, like the kind of stuff that aliens, like, do you think like that's a universal prank that aliens, a group of people, like they
It,
come and
it's certainly been known to happen. There are crop circles and certain fake UFOs that people have admitted to making. So people do it. And all these crop circles. It, think again about the tribes in India. Would we go over to their island and draw some odd pattern and write some words down on their beach? It wouldn't. What's the point? It's a waste of time. It doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't help us at all. So
um,
why would aliens come down and draw circles on the ground? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
and yeah, why do you think humans would do such a thing?
Get on the news to draw attention to a particular, just maybe just as a joke. Human, as you say, humans have a sense of humour. This stuff, there's probably someone sitting back who's made these crop circles and seeing them get all the coverage they do, and is just laughing to themselves, thinking they all think it's aliens. I did that.
Yeah, well, Whoever does this, he's very talented and dedicated to their
I,
actual.
I just feel like attributing it to aliens just it creates more questions than answers.
Yeah, I guess.
No, so I don't think aliens have been involved in our history at all. But do I think there are aliens out there? Probably yes. There are probably alien civilizations out there. Are are there any that are very technologically advanced? Who knows? Who knows what who know it might be the case that any civilization that gets to sufficiently advanced technological stage declares war on each other and wipes itself out. Maybe there are no technologically
Mhm.
advanced civilizations out there. There could be, but we haven't seen any signs. Um, doesn't mean they're not there, but I'd say for the moment there are no aliens that we see.
Mhm. Uh, you know, like
I think they are there. If I were to make a bet, I would I would bet that there are aliens out there.
mhm. Mm. You know, like uh, and so far, like let's a fun question. If aliens abducted you, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and brought you to their planets, and you saw a much more advanced civilization than our planet, would you rather choose to live there or come back to Earth?
Um, very tough question actually. Well, the perk of staying at the alien one if you go into this alien civilization, the best quote is that any sufficiently advanced technology looks exactly like magic. So going to this alien civilization, everything would just appear like magic to me. It would probably be extremely difficult for me to understand any of the technology that they're using. Um, I feel like perhaps the best thing to do would be to ask them to teach you about some of their technology, and then return to Earth and make that technology on Earth. I feel like
Mm.
that's the kind of
Mm.
thing that would probably be best. Because I mean, among another civilization, you'd be an advanced one of that. You'd be such a dunce compared to all of them. Uh, you'd be like a gorilla in a classroom. Um, this, yeah, I don't think as amazing as it would look, and as amazing as it would be to experience a civilization like that. I don't think it's one. I don't think you'd want to remain there.
Uh, yeah, you made the example of the gorilla.
That's probably what it would be like. Um,
Yeah, like a Neanderthal over
yeah,
there.
exactly. We'd just be completely stupid compared to them if they had that
So
kind of
yeah,
technology.
you're going to learn some of their stuff, and you're going to bring it back to Earth.
Yeah,
You know, that's
there's plenty that can be gained from a super civilization, but it's not. Don't think I would want to live there.
which category you're going to learn. Science, business, politics, history.
Oh, science.
Entertainment, science. That's the only thing that you can actually learn so far based on your skills. And then
They're
you're
pretty
going to
much
like learn their physics and bring
physics,
it
their
back to,
technology. Yeah.
yeah, to planet Earth and create a company, sell
Yeah,
your product.
no, I guess at that. I guess at that stage, you'd make a company, sell off your tech, live a nice
Would you,
life.
yeah, would you grab one of their phones and bring it back?
Yeah.
To
We probably wouldn't have phones.
revolution
It would probably all be brain implants or whatever. Who needs phones?
brain.
You could just communicate with a chip in your brain with each other instantly.
So what if you actually could bring back the brain implants and create
That
them?
would be the tech. Yeah.
Yeah, bring them to here and you use it. Franchise it to the planet. Everybody
Mm.
could like use it as like their phone. I don't see how there could be a brain implant for like a TV screen or something like that.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, so if you understood the brain well enough, you'd understand which parts of it are responsible for um, producing images in your head, like the kind of like in dreams or when you're just picturing something in your head. Um, Technologically, then it's presumably possible that you could invent a kind of brain implant which which triggers your brain um, to picture certain things as as you want. So you could basically have a TV in your head. This implant would I don't know receive the microwave radio signals from a TV broadcasting company, and then in your head would trigger your brain to produce for it to imagine a screen and would play the images um, from the broadcasting company. You could have a
yeah,
TV in your head.
yeah, that's good analogy.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah, like uh, what if they had the technologies, to set people on fire by a snap of the finger? Like, don't you want to like grab onto that and bring it to, use it on North Korea?
It's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. That would be. Um, well, this is the thing with technology. The more technology grows, the more power essentially normal people have to destroy as well as create. Um, so bombs, for example, at the minute, nobody in the medieval era could have made a bomb, except for if you had enough money and knowledge of chemistry, which only only the upper class would ever possibly know. Whereas now you can look up on Google how to make a bomb. Um, it's it's so much as technology grows. It's much more to to destroy
You
things.
could Google nuclear.
Well, maybe not a nuclear bomb. It's, fortunately, a civilian would not be able to build a nuclear bomb. But
Yeah,
I mean, you can just get some highly flammable substance, propanol. You can buy that stuff on Amazon.
yeah, Fight
And just set
Club.
it on fire. I mean, it's easy to do.
You're
No, no,
putting ideas in my head.
no. I hope not. I hope we're not going to be investigated now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
certainly not saying to do it. I'm just saying
Tyler
people
Durden.
people have much more capability now than people have much more capability as technology gets better than
Yeah,
ever.
I guess. So, are you saying that, just as physics can be used in a good way, it also can be used in a bad way?
Oh, totally. Well, I mean, physics itself is totally neutral. Um, Physics is just the pursuit of physics is just about learning, really, about learning how the world works. Um, yeah, that's all it is. It's about learning how the world works. Um, Now, how you apply this knowledge is you can apply this well and helpfully, or you can apply it badly. The nuclear bomb is an example of when you take you take physics and apply it and apply it in a harmful way. Um, Whereas medicine, um, MRI scanners, things like that, you've taken physics and you've applied it in a helpful way. Physics on its own is totally neutral. It's neither good nor bad. Um, it's it's what you use it for that that can be helpful or harmful.
Don't you think, like if somebody studied spirituality and religion before, like physics, the risk of him becoming evil would have been reduced to a very large extent.
Um, no, no, I don't think so. I think the problems like that you have are they're psychological problems. Um, if you want to make a nuclear bomb, for example, I mean, and if you're not a state, when the state commissioned the nuclear bomb project, it was essentially for defense slash ending the war. But if you're one person on your own, you're trying to develop something using physics that's intended to harm a large number of people, you've got a psychological problem. You need therapy. Um, the it's I don't think religion has much to do with it. This is a psychological matter, not a spiritual.
Mhm.
Look,
Uh,
it's like, and if you want my reasons for thinking why religion has very little to do with this, is that there are plenty of people, there are extremists in religion, um, who do want to kill other people. So whether you're religious or not, you get people. Well, in religious communities and in non-religious communities, you will get people who are psychologically defective and want to harm other people. Um, so these people just exist. I don't think it's a religious thing. I think it's just, I think it's a psychological defect.
don't you think like psychology is like like Freud ripped it off of religion? Like
I can't really comment.
oh yeah, so since
I
you
don't know
were
much about. I don't know much about the
yeah,
history of
you know
psychology.
so another question, about uh, you know this is a question that like I kind of like ask everybody. What would you
Mm-hmm.
do if you became president?
I've been asked this before, actually. Um, my response last time, I think I would still possibly stand by it, is to delegate it to someone else. I don't think I'd make a very good. I don't think I'd make a very good president, but I think I would be able to pick someone good for the job.
What is your like childhood dream? Like childhood
Um,
fantasy. Barbie doll.
I've always wanted to be a writer. I think that's the longest dream that I've
Yeah.
had.
What kind of writer? Like
Well,
uh,
back then it was fiction, fantasy, science fiction, anything like that, a novel kind of thing.
science
Uh,
fiction.
but now at this kind of stage in my life, I would very much like to write a fantasy novel, but I also want to write physics books. Um,
Like there was a guy who wrote. The guy who actually wrote Martian. He really did
mhm.
some good scientific research and
Well, yeah,
wrote
they
the book.
do. They often when they're making science fiction films or science fiction novels, they often do consult proper physicists to make sure they're getting the
And
physics right.
yeah, and he just posted on Amazon for like 99 cents,
Mm,
and it became a bestseller over there. Like
mm.
and
Well, I
and
mean, I would love to do the same.
you never gave it a like a try. Let's just
I've always been. I've
let's
always.
do this. Like I have a rampant imagination. I'm gonna write the story. You do scientific checks on the actual thing. Let- Let's just say hypothetically, me and you are going to be like abducted by aliens. Do you think? Oh no, that's not going to be like really what to say. Like I don't think that's going to be like we are still not in that level of like knowing how an ancient, like alien civilizations actually
Well, I mean,
look.
well, sort of course you don't know, but you can make some good guesses. You can come up with all sorts that would most likely be the case.
Yeah, like something that makes, to an extent, makes sense, but then again, it's going to be like still, like, because if you have to actually, look at every aspect of an advanced civilization, history, physics, chemistry,
Mm,
mathematics, entertainment, religion, philosophy, psychology, all of this is going to be like, their gadgets, their cars, their houses, like
mm.
their atmosphere, their fashion, every single detail of their life is going to like end up so different and vast that,
Yeah, and that's the problem really when imagining when imagining alien civilization because
yeah,
because we only know of we only know of ours. We only have one data point. Um,
doesn't
so
it like
we have
bother
no
you,
idea
like,
how other
like,
civilizations could evolve and.
you know, speaking of like Star Trek, uh,
Mhm.
do you think like they really got it good? Like, I don't think they actually did a, come up with like enough research of how an advanced humanity, would look like. Actually, like our fast food chains, our, our gadgets, like our houses, everything. I think everything is going to look completely different, in the
Well,
future.
I mean, very easily could all these any science fiction is a guess. It's a guess of what it might be in the future.
It's
Maybe
is it,
some are probably best. Some will be better than others.
yeah, like
But you
isn't
have no
like
idea. It could be anything.
yeah,
We
like
might never
people
make it.
just,
We might
yeah,
never make it
yeah.
to
Don't,
space.
doesn't it bother you that, like people just take it for granted, uh, you know like,
Take what for granted.
it's something like Star Trek, their imaginations won't go any further than that, to start thinking about them, what kind of phone they have, what kind of application on their phones they have, what can they do with their phones, do they have video games, what kind of video games they have, like what kind of
Well, you can make certain guesses by looking at our own history. Um, so we've always had entertainment. Music has always been a thing. So fast forwarding thousands of years, it's very unlikely that they won't have some kind of entertainment, some kind of music, some kind of sport. Um, every civilization that we know of, everywhere throughout its history, has had these things.
yeah, so
It's very
yeah.
human.
Speaking of, like, let's just say me and you wanted to like write a novel in like, until the next season. Which month is it? Like 1 month to spring.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say, me and you started to actually write like 10 pages every day. Like imagination,
Mm-hmm.
and we winded up like a 300 page, uh, you know, uh, science fiction novel
Mm.
by the end of like this month. Uh, do you think like
That'll be very quick.
yeah, but obviously we have to do like some editing on
Mm.
it. Like, are you a good editor, or like you're just as,
To an extent.
to an extent, like, do you think like if we actually put our book on Amazon, just like the other guy, it actually going to like become successful, and like,
I feel like um, it's like anything. You could get lucky. You could not. No, maybe no one sees it. Maybe the right person sees it, thinks it's amazing, shares it with everyone, and then yeah. I,
yeah, but
for, for,
we do
because
have, let's just, hypothetically, we do have a server, and we do have a website, and we do, like, we do have a podcast. we create something, we make something server related, like a book about Theology Today podcast. And the guy actually, in the server actually going to be like, it's actually like the idea. Do you think like they would help pass around the idea?
Oh,
Like
presumably.
this is the book that guys wrote for us. Let's just
Well,
bring.
that's what social media is for, anyway, isn't it? Like this kind of stuff. Social media is an advertising platform.
Yeah, like we say that we made this for like Victor, and we bring in Victor and Valen, and like Bill Clinton in ours, bringing all these guys, and then give them the book to be like, dude, we actually mentioned you in this book. I think they're going to be like excited about that. No, they're going to be like, oh, that's so cool. Let us help spread
Yeah.
your
Well, that's
book.
what this kind of stuff is for.
It might work. Like it's better than writing a book alone.
Oh, definitely.
So
Right,
far.
for anything like that to be people to share it, then you need a platform to share it on.
Mm. Yeah, let's just say, just like so far you haven't put my interview with Roy on the homepage of our website.
Oh,
Like
it should be there.
so far, Theology Today podcast uh, on the homepage. Theology Today podcast. Theology Jesus. Yeah, hold on. Theology. This is a long name, for God's sake. Podcast dot WordPress.com.
WordPress.com. Yeah, it's
Or
there. It's on
uh,
there.
yeah, it's on the homepage. Yeah,
Yeah.
77 minutes interview with Roy.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to actually click on the link
Oh, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
to
Yeah,
see it. Yeah,
with the
yeah,
package, I couldn't embed the video on
yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, like the other website, we actually, we had it embed
Yeah, yeah.
on the thing.
You need to buy like business plan to do it
Yeah,
on.
and we can put our book in a homepage as well. So whenever somebody comes in, they see the book, be interested. We put a summary of the book actually over there. So whoever comes in, they, instead of the interview, they actually read the book. And book from one side would be like an advertisement for our server, for our website, and like something to move on our organization, faster, and promote the book. Two birds with one stone. I think that's a decent idea. So far it's better than like just posting it on Amazon and not finding any other people like to promote it. Like we can do this, like we can do this as like an actual educational value of the server kind of stuff. Yeah, like write a book about science and science fiction stuff. Get help. Obviously our guys are incredibly intelligent as well, so we can use their help. We can give our book to them as well, for them to check the facts of the book. Let's write a book as a team. Seriously, like, I think that's going to be like not as like a whole group of people actually write it. We write the book, then we give it to other people to express their feelings and opinions about. Let's just say we write a summary of the book and give it to different people in the server, different scientists, different religious people, and ask them about their opinion and how we can actually improve the book, and they're going to be motivated to like to follow up the book whenever it somehow were released. And also from another side, uh, you know it would be we could get better ideas for the book to perfect it in the best way to somehow appeal to a whole group of audience. Let's just write a summary, give it to people, a group of people to
It would be a while until I actually had time to write something.
uh,
Books are quite time consuming.
yeah. Uh, what if I wrote the summary and you just give your opinion on it and fix certain stuff, you
Hmm.
know, on the actual thing, so far, I think that would be, like that would be. I mean, let's just say that's a long-term kind of thing, like 3 months to 1 year.
Yeah.
Like that, Martian guy. He took his time writing in the book. So far, since we have, so many available people, in our server, and our server is growing, we could do the same thing, as well with the book. And we have so many friends, we can, give the book to our people, and to ask them about, their opinions. But the book can improve it, you don't have to necessarily die a lonely person without achieving your childhood dreams. Like we can actually. My childhood dream is like having a chocolate house.
So, wow.
So
You can make that fairly easily. You can make that dream.
yeah. No, I don't think it would be that easy. I'll to actually meet
Well,
Willy Wonka.
it'll be difficult to do it permanently. You can make a small one. Buy a lot of chocolate, do it for a day, then eat it. Over a long
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just make a, very mini sized, like a pencil sharpener size
time.
chocolate house. I wanna go live in my chocolate house, dude. I don't wanna like, I don't wanna eat my chocolate house. I want to actually go live in it. Bring my, girlfriend to the
Yeah.
chocolate house. Like anybody who tries to eat anything of the chocolate, like seriously, if you take a bite of a chocolate house, I think you're going to like sugar is going to like rush all over your body, because a bite of an actual wall is going to be like a large quantity of
Oh yeah.
chocolate. But yeah, that's my dream. Like I've been ridiculed by it so many times. But I will follow my dream no matter what. Like if I'm gonna like build a chocolate house by the money that we got from selling the book. the book the book sales, I'm gonna like use my half of the share, build my chocolate house, and meet Willy Wonka, Taffy. So yeah, like 3 minutes, 3 minutes and a half. Do you have anything last to say, as a physician, make the
Physicist.
world, yeah, physicist, like to make the world a better place? Do you have anything to say?
Oh I guess not
Chocolate
physics.
house.
Well, physics can make you a chocolate house, but physics is all about look. We in physics we look at the world around us, um, and the aim of physics is just to learn about it, learn about how it works, how things happen, um, the history of the universe. Um, and that's what it's for really. Physics is at the boundary of the is at the boundary of our of what we know, and it's our adventure. It's an adventure that people like me are very keen to pursue. It's an intellectual adventure that allows us to learn more about the universe.
Yeah, that's good. And I want to thank you for like having this conversation with me. We talked about aliens. We talked about a little bit of about religion. We talked about writing a book. We talked about crop circles. We talked about a delicious big chocolate house. It's going to be like chocolate house. I don't want to like make it chocolate house. I want like a chocolate palace. Like
I
actually.
think you'll die of diabetes.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna die of like caffeine hitting my brain with that much
Mm.
chocolate. Okay, chocolate house. Has anybody ever thought about like a gummy house? I love gummy more than
Oh,
chocolate.
yeah, yeah, I love going. Yeah.
I love
I,
to. I mean, there's this thing like I never ate it so much, but I seen it. Like they call it Twizzler. Have you ever ate a Twizzler?
no,
No,
no.
it's the same thing as gummy. Apparently, is it like in the same? I just think that it's more sour than like gummy, but I just love it.
I think I kind of know.
Yeah, I'm gonna build my gummy house. Then I'm gonna die of
You
fat. I'm
do
gonna get
that.
like
No, it's good. It's a good way to get.
yes, obviously, I'm gonna donate it. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna donate it to kids in Africa. So it would be something like like I'm gonna get do like something of a philanthropy with my thing. So yeah, thank you for like having this conversation with me. Hopefully, we're gonna
No
have
worries.
another 77 minutes in the future. Let me ask
Yeah,
Craig to
sure.
leave at this point.